The end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end, is a running joke amid my ironic dark fan circle. After it, Welcome to Derry, Chapter 1's increasingly loopy ending, that joke is either completely ruined or it's gained another layer. I haven't made up my mind about that yet. Because my first responsibility is to you guys. And boy are my shoulders heavy with all the stuff I'm planning to break down for you. Other than some major references to the IT universe that should be engraved into your brain by now, forget everything you thought you knew about the good and evil of Derry, because even the clown we thought we kinda knew is turning out to be more enigmatic than ever. Why else would I be bringing up time travel? Isn't it bad enough that this eldritch monster has a favorite cuisine, i.e. terrified people? He's got to have the ability to perceive time as a circle and exist through it like a beaver popping out of random timelines? Except the timelines Pennywise pops up in aren't random at all. Oh no, they aren't. To understand the purpose behind this macroverse-born cosmic entity's jump through different times, we gotta pay close attention to what he reveals to Marge in the final episode of Welcome to Derry. There have been whispers of it, only for the confirmation to come in a bone-chilling moment. Little Margie will grow up to be Margaret Tozier, Richie Tozier's mother. You know Richie from the Losers Club in the IT movies. Now you know where he gets his spunk from. Because it absolutely makes sense that someone as gutsy as Marge would raise a son as brave as Richie, named after her first love, Rich. Now I'm not gonna be too specific about the years in the film's timelines, because I'm pretty sure a second season of Welcome to Derry will move some stuff around in that regard. So all you've got to remember is that, in the movies, Rich and his friends in the Losers Club kill Pennywise. They couldn't have known that he would just be born again. Only, after being killed by the Losers Club, Pennywise went back to 60s Derry, and he took the form of the monster baby when Manny was abducted by that creepy family in the first episode of Welcome to Derry. Why? To eat, of course. But Pennywise's ultimate purpose behind popping up in the 60s is to kill off the parents of the Losers Club. If he can kill Marge, and undo Richie's birth, he's free as a bird in both these timelines. But how exactly does he travel through time? It's simple, really. Pennywise is a macroverse entity whose most real form is an orb of deadlights. He's made of the kind of cosmic energy that's beyond the human or earthly understanding of time and existence. One thing I still can't say for sure is if he can exist in multiple timelines at the same time. Maybe he can if there aren't groups of little kids trying to get him to back off. Which is why he's been going backwards in time to kill off the bloodlines of the Losers Club. Marge is saved for now. So Richie still exists. But I think Marge is right to worry about the possibility of Pennywise moving quickly and going back even further in time to undo her generation. Let's just hope that kids as brave as the ones we've known in the IT universe exist all across history. See, I don't think Shaw was a part of Pennywise's big plan at all. I think the clown totally meant to make a snack of a little Shaw back when he came to Derry with his dad the first time. But Shaw got away because Rose had his back. Pennywise probably didn't even expect that Shaw would come back and open his cage up. The stark contrast between Shaw and every other person Pennywise has ever corrupted into getting him food is that Shaw never had to be corrupted. He came back and thought up the insanely idiotic plan to let Pennywise terrorize the entirety of America. And because he is an airman general, his efforts to free Pennywise are being funded by the taxpayers. What a wonderful situation for the evil clown who didn't even expect that he'd be able to leave Derry. And now that he's trying, it falls on the people of color, the Native American community, and the plucky kids of Derry to lock the cage by burying the dagger into the deadwood at the farthest end of the river. That's the only point where the dagger can fill the energy vacuum created by the removal of the pillar. Earth will connect the powers of the 13 artifacts carved out of the comet that had originally caged Pennywise, and once again, he will be stuck to the map of Derry. Only when Ronnie, Marge, and Will, empowered by Rich's spirit, actually get the job done and bury the dagger into the deadwood, I don't think Pennywise dies. He's obviously tremendously affected by the energy of the comet cage, all burned up and everything. But I think in the ending of the final episode, Pennywise sheds his old skins, turns into his most innate form of Deadlights, and flies off to some place. Now, where he's going has got to be one of the things that we can expect to find out in the yet-to-be-announced Season 2 of the show. He's either going for that 27-year-long nap, or he's going back in time to make trouble for people in the past. It's kind of spooky that he sheds his skin in the river. Can't be too good for Derry. I don't know if you've noticed, but Leroy Hanlon and Dick Halloran's journeys have been pretty similar. They both had gifts, Dick's shine ability and Lyra's fearlessness, but they didn't understand their purpose at all. Leroy thought the Air Force was his calling, until the likes of Shaw and Fuller showed him that saving the country isn't the business they're in. He's had a rude awakening to the truth, to the fact that he's been working for and helping people who want to rule America by fear. Granted, Halloran did know that Shaw was up to no good when he used his shine ability to help him free the clown. But he's one of those good guys trying real hard to be a little selfish so as to not be vulnerable. But good guys can't be comfortable with being bad for too long. So at the cost of his sanity and maybe even his life, Halloran has helped save a lot of people, and especially kids, from the attack of the white supremacists and Pennywise. So it's kinda perfect that they both finally think about putting their gifts to good use at the same time when Leroy shakes Halloran out of his suicidal fog. Only Halloran could get them close to Will and the dagger. So it's a well-earned break after Halloran pulls off something as insane as getting into Pennywise's mind and keeping him stuck in a false memory of Bob Gray. Well, it's not really a break, because the hotel Halloran is all thrilled to go work at is the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. So I guess he needs to keep that mental box locked up now that the Matron root tea Rose gave him has quietened the ghosts. Lots of ghosts where he's going. So I don't really expect to see much of him in Season 2. Lyra's whole a different case though. Shot in the leg by Shaw's men and bleeding out on ice, Shaw finds the meaning and the use of his fearlessness for the first time in his life. So the first change we see in him is his newfound trust and will to be just as brave as him, even though they're very different people. Lyra's a much better father when he hands the dagger over to Will. And he's a much better husband when he makes a big life decision based on what Charlotte wants in the ending of the final episode of Welcome to Derry. Since Rose can't handle the absence of Taniel, she wants to leave her farmhouse to someone she can trust with much more than its upkeep. She needs a watcher and a protector. Who better than Leroy and Charlotte Hanlon, the bravest, most protective people in the world, to keep an eye on Derry? Besides, it's not like IT's coming back for another 27 years. So Leroy and his family can have just about enough time to deal with everything they've been through. This explains how Leroy Hanlon went from being a major to a farmer with a crutch. Just as well for Will. I know he said that it's okay if Ronnie forgets him the further away she goes from Derry, but he was obviously just trying to not hurt her more than she was already hurt by their parting. So now he gets to remember his first love. And if he writes to her just enough, there's no chance Ronnie will forget a boy like Will. Pennywise showed Ingrid the lights. The Deadlights, I mean. She got a little clingy there with the monster who looks like her dead father, Pennywise the dancing clown. But while she saw the truth just after the black spot fire, Pennywise drove her insane. She was almost about to realize that the monster she's been filling up with children since 1935 wasn't her dad at all. In fact, the real Bob Gray was eaten by Pennywise himself. But as we see in the mid-credits scene in the final episode, a very unstable Mrs. Kirsch has been staying at Juniper Hill. After what the Deadlights did to her, she's back to being entirely consumed by thoughts of her father. For 26 long years, she's been painting a picture of Pennywise and waiting for him to wake up. But why are we at the 26-year mark instead of 27? That's because the second season of the show wants to explore Beverly Marsh's horrid past. Beverly Marsh is one of the members of the same losers club who'll go on to kill Pennywise. But before that, Bev's got a lot of trauma to deal with as is. Her mother, Elfrida Marsh, has just taken her life in her room at Juniper Hill. We're in 1988, and the Mrs. Kirsch that we see now is pretty much the same creepy old witchy woman from the movies. The fact that she's right there to relish Bev's grief, and the horror of her life with her abusive dad, tells me that Pennywise might have left a little bit of himself in the woman who was desperate for him to be his papa. If Bev's freaky experiences with Mrs. Kirsch in the IT movies universe is any sign, we're gonna see a lot more of that in the second season of Welcome to Derry.